Hello everyone, another Oscar movie on the table, and I'm joined with Yvette once again.
Hello.
And we finally caught up with Yorgos Lanthimos' Poor Things. And ever since it won the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival, it has generated a massive amount of Oscar buzz. So we're gonna review Poor Things, and we're gonna avoid talking about spoilers. But Yvette, why don't you give us a little setup?
Okay, yeah, so Poor Things is loosely based on the 1992 novel by Alistair Gray. The plot surrounds a young Victorian woman named Bella, played by Emma Stone, who is resurrected by a scientist. Initially naive, Bella is eager to learn the world around her, and she embarks on a quest of self-discovery.
Yes, and I think that's a good place to start, is to talk about Yorgos Lanthimos' work thus far. I know that you're a fan of him.
Yeah, big time. Probably one of my top favorite working directors. His films are always so dark and twisted and just funny. I find myself like literally laughing out loud during his movies. And also they're usually really strong in the acting department, which is an element that I really tend to care about.
Right, and he's one of my favorites as well, of course. And his last film, The Favorite, and this one, he's kind of working on a larger scale, I would say, more than he usually is. Probably his most imaginative film in terms of like the world building he's doing here. It's a futuristic dreamscape of Europe. It's kind of steampunk mixed with like a Victorian style. But we should really start with Emma Stone, because the movie surrounds Emma Stone and it hinges on her performance. And guys, believe the hype. She's incredible, like really good.
2 thumbs up. She's amazing. I 100%, this is a very challenging performance, I think, and she does an amazing job with it. She's portraying at first almost like a newborn, because she's like a Frankenstein character that was like an experiment created by this mad scientist. So it's very childlike, and she's learning motor skills and like how to speak in the beginning. So it's a very physical and like lived in character that she's playing. Emma Stone then has to grow and evolve with this character. So she's playing many different versions throughout the film, and she literally seamlessly transitions from one stage to the next. It's really beautiful the way she does it. Also, she's really funny.
Oh my God.
She's cracking me up.
Really funny. So funny. Emma Stone is honestly, she's always had a knack for comedy, and her like deadpanness and Lanthimos' absurd style that he already has, it's just like, it's a perfect match made in heaven. And what you just mentioned, that's what struck me the most when watching this, the progression of her character. Like typically characters in movies, they grow only so much, or they grow, but like there's chunks and chapters missing. But here we like see Bella really transform every step of the way, and you become really invested in her journey. And in many ways, it's kind of like Pinocchio in a way, right? So you have like Willem Dafoe plays Bella's father figure, who's also a scientist, what she refers to as God. He serves as kind of like our Geppetto of the story, who has created his version of Pinocchio and is really trying to teach Bella how to be a real girl. And by the way, Dafoe, he's great here. He's got this like scientific, emotional detachment, but he still has this like warmness underneath, like vulnerability.
Yeah, I agree. But I think for me, 2 of the more like bigger standouts were Emma Stone and Mark Ruffalo. I thought that their relationship was really kind of crazy and fun to watch. Mark Ruffalo specifically has kind of an evolution of his own in his character, but it's opposite of Emma Stone's. So I guess you would call it more of like is it like a de-evolution?
Like a de-evolution. He goes backwards.
He goes backwards a little bit. It's really fun to watch, but I'll just leave it at that.
Right. And Mark Ruffalo, like, he is clearly having a blast. He's chewing up the scenery. His character just seems to think of himself as kind of like this dashing and handsome man, but there's like, obviously, like there's these layers of him being truly pathetic. Oh. There's also 2 comedic actors in this. Rami Youssef and Jared Carmichael are in the film, and Carmichael is a lot more brief in the film, but I feel like Youssef fit the style a little bit more naturally than Carmichael. But, you know, all these male characters that we mentioned kind of play a role in Emma Stone's journey of like self-discovery and sexual awakening. And that should be mentioned, because this film does not shy away from Bella's sexual growth.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because there's definitely a lot of sex. I think it has a purpose though. Like in the varying stages of Bella's growth that she's going through, one of the major stages is, I guess, puberty, so to speak, and her discovery of her sexuality. I don't think I really don't think it's a lot of pointless sex scenes. I think that the film is offering some really relevant commentary about sexual power dynamics and I guess self-governance.
Yeah. I've heard the comparison being made between Poor Things and Barbie, but this film really does share like so many themes to Barbie. Like, though this one's like more like obviously like sexually raw, Bella goes on a similar journey of like self-discovery. She's seeking a life that isn't solely for pleasure, but one that's more real and meaningful. So there's like some parallels.
I agree. There's a lot of like evolving that happens. And I think you could even interpret Bella as being almost like a symbol or representation for women in general, or almost like the growth in society that women have had in a historical sense.
Yeah, what's interesting is Poor Things is in some way it's Lanthimos' most creative looking film, but it's also in some ways it's like most optimistic. Like there's still those staples that you've come to appreciate in a typical like Lanthimos film. There's the wide angle fish lens. It takes place in a dystopian society. It's also darkly funny. It's occasionally bleak. While I did feel like there was that underlying Yorgos chilliness that you typically get with his work, I feel like there's a smidgen, or like maybe is it a smidgen? Or is it a smidgen? Smidgen. There's a smidge of heart there. Now, if Poor Things, like in all its weirdness and dark humor, actually managed to like actually make me feel like highly emotional, because that would have been something like truly, truly special. But honestly, like I'll take whatever heart I can get with Yorgos, because you don't typically get a lot.
And it's a tiny, tiny little heart.
Right, a little bit of heart. I'm not trying to oversell the heart.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit more heart than we usually get.
Yeah. I guess we should talk about crafts.
Yeah.
I guess I'll start with the cinematography. Obviously, it was beautiful. I'm sure you've seen in the trailer. I will be honest in saying that I didn't really care too much for the black and white. Yeah, like I understand the point of it. I think it's kind of like similar to Wizard of Oz. It's not really a spoiler.
Dorothy like
it's
entering
just,
Oz and
yeah. I'm just not a huge fan of black and white, I think, to begin with.
yeah, I don't know. I didn't mind it too much, but I was waiting for the film to like hit color, so I was like kind of just waiting there patiently. But when it hits the color, I feel like the film kicks it into a different gear.
Right.
Costumes were incredible.
Costumes are amazing. I found myself drifting off a lot, admiring the costumes. They're really, I don't even know how to explain it, like avant-garde or like something you'd see on like a fashion runway. They're like slightly abstract, futuristic, but also reminiscent of another time, an earlier time. Kind of like, I imagine how we recycle trends in fashion, as the years go on.
Yeah, I'm recycling my shirt from Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah, I feel like it was like a similar, like they're in the future, but they've recycled the fashion from like the Victorian era or something. I don't know, it was really nice. I know specifically Bella's fashion choices felt like they were intended to make her maybe seem different or stand out or I guess weird. Basically, she didn't seem to follow the same rules when it came to the way she paired her clothing choices. But honestly, it was really kind of like chic and like, I felt like it could be something that was on the cover of Vogue magazine or something like that. It was really fun to watch and really fun to admire.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was a big part of what made you feel immersed in this like world that he created.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the costumes and the sets, obviously. Like, there's these elaborate sets. Yorgos uses CGI in the film, but I think it's really the physical sets and the costumes that really make this movie come alive. And the music is super outside the box. Interesting score. Perfectly sets the tone for this kind of odd world that Yorgos has created. All in all, I thought it was a thought-provoking, undeniably creative, darkly funny story that you can only get from a director like Yorgos Lanthimos. Now, I will say, I was prepared for this to be like my favorite film of his based on like all the buzz this movie is getting. But I'm going to be honest and say that I actually think that my favorite is still the favorite.
I think so too, actually.
Yeah. Oh. This might be my second favorite.
I'm like naturally more attracted to these traditional period pieces anyway, so maybe I'm just more prone to like the favorite. But the favorite had like such an epic cast and I don't know, it just felt like grander in some way. It felt like a bigger story. I don't know. I love this movie, but I think my favorite is still the favorite.
So what are you going to go with? What's your rating on Poor Things?
Can I do 9.5?
No. So you got to do solid numbers only. No points. So solid number.
Okay, fine. I guess I'll give it a 9 out of 10.
Okay. 9.
But secretly, It's a 9.5 out of 10.
No, it's a 9.
I like it more than a 9. Can I just say like a very robust 9?
You could say robust 9. You're allowed to give an adjective to the number, but you're not allowed to give decimals. Okay, well, I'm going to give it a robust 9 as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Copycat.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I had the same rating. I had a 9. I didn't think of an adjective for my 9, but it's a solid 9.
Okay.
It's a solid 9. Definitely one of my favorites this year. I think you guys are going to really like Poor Things. But let's talk Oscars. Woo!
And that's when I walk away.
No, come back. So Poor Things is currently a top 3 contender.
Out of all the movies I've seen, I would agree.
Yeah. So prior to seeing Poor Things, I was predicting Poor Things for Best Picture.
Oh,
so I
number
was
one?
I was.
Okay.
I was kind of a placeholder. It had so much buzz. I figured, yeah, okay, I'm going to put this number 1 because I've seen the other films and I don't know if any of the other films are strong enough. So I figured Poor Things, I'll put it number 1. But after seeing it, I'm incredibly weary that this is like an Academy movie particularly. Oh.
Yeah, I don't, it's hard to say. I just don't think it's in line with like, what's coming to mind right now is like Coda and Green Book,
Right.
and it's very different.
It's very different from Coda and Green Book.
So like, I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I know like last year we just had Everything Everywhere All at Once. I know that was a movie that people were saying there's no way that can win.
Yeah.
It's super, super creative. It's absurd in its humor. It's got dildos in it. But Poor Things is not like nearly as emotional as Everything Everywhere All at Once is. My fear is like the sexual content in Poor Things will serve a major obstacle for this film for the Academy.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot more out there.
Right.
We'll just say that. It's a lot more free. It's raw. I don't know if that was the right word to use. Has there ever been a Best Picture with this much nudity and sex before? Like, can you think of one that's similar to this that has one in the past?
Not that I'm aware of. Like there's fish sex in Shape of Water. Midnight Cowboy was X-rated, but it's really, really tame, I would say, comparable to this. I know it's kind of silly to talk about this. Actually, I don't know if you've ever seen that documentary. One documentary I'd recommend you see is called This Film Is Yet Not Rated. And in it, it compares European films with American films and how European films kind of see sex as something that's incredibly normal and part of life, whereas American films, for whatever reason, are really like squeamish on the subject of sex.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I know some people would say like, then don't make it an issue. Like don't talk about the sexual content in Poor Things because you're only going to bring, kind of awareness to it. But honestly, you're not going to like make the obstacle go away by kind of like sweeping it out of the way. It's still there. The way you get rid of it is you kind of talk about it. You say like, hey, look, Academy, there's nothing to be afraid of. It's just sex. And the sex actually serves the story in the movie and the themes. So it's not a biggie.
When you're saying, tell the Academy, like, oh, look, it's just sex. It's not scary. It's not a biggie. It reminds me of Emma Stone in The Favorite where she's like, ha.
I know we can assume that Poor Things is going to be a big contender. It's going to be nominated for picture. But for the win, I'm honestly not too sure for those reasons. I hope it wins. I actually think it would be a great winner. I feel like it will have a better chance if Emma Stone is someone who's just kind of dominating through the entire year. If there's like a strong passion for Stone, then considering that Stone is the movie, I think that would really help Poor Things' chances. But that being said, Poor Things is still going to have its fans. There's a lot of passion for this film out there. Every screening in LA is pretty much booked as soon as one comes available. There's a lot of craft categories in the film that are going to shine. So it's possible that this film could really take in like 12 nominations when it's, all said and done. You got actress, picture, director, supporting actor, at least one of them, costume design, production design, adapted screenplay, original score, cinematography. Like those all look really good. That's 9. And then you can potentially add makeup, another supporting actor like Dafoe, maybe editing, maybe visual effects, not likely, but maybe. So that would be 13 if you did all of those. So like 10 or 12 seem very doable to me. So yeah, I think this is going to match the favorite, at the very least, 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there. But let's talk about actress though, because in terms of actress, I have a hard time imagining anyone is really beating Emma Stone.
Yeah. She's really good. And it's not like an easy role. It's very physical and transformative on top of that.
Right now, the only person I can see with a shot in hell to potentially compete. Sandra Holler, maybe? I could see a narrative. Maybe. Fantasia, because she can sing.
And she's like uber famous.
Yeah, and she's uber famous, so that's a possibility. Now, I would say Lily Gladstone, but...
Yeah, she was great, but when I think of that movie, I don't think of her as the lead, unfortunately.
Right. It's a small role. So I don't know. I think this is definitely Emma Stone's to lose for sure. And I think it's deserving. It's a deserving win.
She did a great job.
So yeah, so that's what I'm thinking Oscar wise.
Yeah. Me too. Same.
Same?
Same. What he said. Samesies. I'll just copy his homework. Well, that was our review of Poor Things. Let us know whether or not you think Poor Things can win Best Picture. And if you like this review and want to see more Oscar-related content, then hit that subscribe button and subscribe. I know Ryan is cooking up some really fun videos for you. Like, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love that. But, sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
Thanks everyone for watching, and until next time, we'll see you at the Oscars. You have to do a wink.
I can't wink.